And Graddy.
I have been sworn in, and I am not from Mason County. I am Hank Graddy. If you'll leave it on the first slide for a couple of minutes. I'm a lawyer from Versailles, Kentucky, and I have been retained by We Are Mason County. I was retained when they learned about this project, but they were frustrated because they were not being able to find out who it was and what was going to happen. We Are Mason County was formed in response to this mystery, to try to get to the bottom of it, and frankly, to try to protect this community from an unknown threat. Max Warren is the president and executive director. He has spoken to the Planning Commission previously to try to urge the Planning Commission to amend the comprehensive plan to begin the comprehensive plan process of recognizing the need for the plan to address data centers. As we sit here, the comprehensive plan still does not address data centers. Also, as has been noted, the Planning Commission, the zoning ordinance, does not address data centers. I was in the fiscal court meeting on September 9th with a letter urging the fiscal court to begin the job of instructing the Planning Commission to address data centers. But before I could speak, the fiscal court adopted a resolution to instruct the Planning Commission to begin the process of addressing data centers. And so I applauded that decision to the fiscal court when it happened. I subsequently sent to John Estel the Oldham County proposed data ordinance that is in draft. I have included portions of that in the notebook that I've given you, and I would urge the members of the fiscal court, if you'll turn to the end of my letter, you'll see pages from the Oldham County proposed zoning ordinance where they have highlighted on page 3, they have 1,000-foot setbacks for all adjoining properties that are residential. So this is an example of a Kentucky county where the Planning Commission has decided that 250 is not adequate, that in that county it needs to be 1,000 feet setback from residential. That has not been enacted on by the fiscal court. It is pending before the fiscal court. I've also I attended the meeting last week with Andy Shale, Kimberly Horn, and I have included his memo because I think I want to call attention to you to a part of that memo. If you'll look on the second page of his memo, he gives you ordinances from 3 of the communities, New Albany, Hilliard, and Dublin. And if you look at what he said in his memo, data centers are a conditional use in the ID1, ID2, and ID4 zoning ordinances. And he also mentioned the New Albany, and that's been discussed by other people earlier tonight, and you'll see below that a page from the Albany zoning ordinance. This is the link he gave you in his memo, and this shows that in New Albany, general office activities in data centers are a conditional use in the L1 district. Now, I'm mentioning this conditional use because this is a public hearing on a zoning ordinance. It is not necessarily a pep rally for data centers, and tonight has been pretty much a discussion about are data centers good or bad. My topic is to talk about your zoning ordinance and how I think it can be improved, what is in it that I think is worthy of applause, but also what is seriously missing. So I want to turn to what I believe is the most serious flaw. Next slide. In my opinion, the most serious problem with this proposed zoning ordinance text is that it does not adequately protect the citizens' right to participate in the data center site selection process. The ordinance in front of you is text that would allow a data center applicant to acquire land currently zoned I3, prepare a development plan that the public would never get to review and comment on because there is no right to a public hearing in the zoning ordinance section, development plan requirements, and Kentucky law allows development plans to be approved by a planning commission staff in certain circumstances without even having a planning commission approval or without having a public hearing. And even where the planning commission has to approve a development plan, there is no requirement in state law that the planning commission hold a public hearing to consider public comments on a development plan. So the ordinance that you have in front of you creates the possibility of a data center being located in an existing I3 zone, excluding the public from ever having a say, excluding the fiscal court from ever having a say, and simply approving a development plan that the public has no right to be heard on. That is woefully inadequate, and I'm going to suggest ways to try to fix that. The second, next slide, the second most serious problem with this proposed text is that it contains nothing that protects Mason County prime farmland and farmland of statewide importance, which is clearly contrary to the text found throughout the 2016 Comprehensive Plan and the 2025 Mason County Comprehensive Plan update. Without any language that protects prime and important Mason County farmland, this proposed text validates the fears of many in this community that there is a plan to take 8,000 acres of productive farmland zoned for agriculture out of agricultural production, again in violation of the community's comprehensive plans. Next slide. My clients, as you heard from Janet, have calculated that from the very limited information they've been able to obtain, that this plan, if it impacts 8,000 acres of farmland, would threaten 10% of Mason County's productive farmland. Now, I've attached to the memo that I've given you, if you'll look below the Kimberly Horn and the New Albany zone change, you'll see the next page is several pages of zoning ordinance from Frederick, Maryland. All right, if you go to the end of my letter, so page 11 of my letter, right back, 2 pages past that are Oldham County setbacks. Next 3 pages are the Kimberly Horn memo from Andy Shaw that you got last week, which has the links to the New Albany, Hilliard, and Dublin. And below that, the page with a lot of fine print, and you can go to the next slide you made. Oh, go back. For the Planning Commission members, you should be looking at a page called Critical Digital Infrastructure Overlay Zone, CDIOZ. And you'll see I've highlighted section 4, the critical digit overlay zone as approved by the county council shall include less than 1% of the total land area of the county. I'm giving you that as an example of a planning commission and local government that put a limit on how much area in the county can become developed for data centers, and they limited it to 1%. And yet, right now, this community is facing a proposal that might take as much as 8,000 acres, and others have done the math. I may be wrong on the math. That's been determined to be perhaps as much as 10% of your farmland. Based upon the foregoing points, we, Mason County, recommend the following addition to the Mason County Data Center text amendment. And this is language that has come from the Kentucky Resources Council, Recently, Tom Fitzgerald spent the past couple of weeks working on this. Many of you know Tom Fitzgerald. He's one of Kentucky's foremost environmental lawyers, and he has prepared a model data center ordinance. He has released it. I have this afternoon emailed it to your staff, so it's in your office. And if you go to the next slide, this is the Frederick, Maryland slide I referred to. Go to the next slide. This is the 1 acre that the Planning Commission could read, but you couldn't until this slide. Next slide. This is also in Frederick, Maryland. We'll get to this in a minute. This is their 500-foot setback. Next slide. All right, now we're looking at the language that Mr. Fitzgerald has recommended, and I'm recommending this as a specific addition to your zoning ordinance. General requirements relating to location of data centers. No data centers shall be located. Next slide. On lands with slopes within a 100-year floodplain unless flood impacts are mitigated, in wetlands, and number 4, on prime farmland or farmland of state importance. This is a critical piece missing from your ordinance, and I would urge you to add this, and I suggest to you that your comprehensive plan, which calls regularly for planning to protect farmland in this county, requires this kind of language in this ordinance. So I urge that you include this text or some variation of it in the finished product. I want to talk about setbacks. We asked the Planning Commission to strengthen the setback requirement. Again, I've attached the Oldham County zone text. The Planning Commission has looked at that as a 1,000-foot setback, at least from the Planning Commission. I've mentioned the Frederick, Maryland, a 500-foot setback. Based upon these recommendations, I want to go to the next slide. Oh, I'm sorry, back up, setback. You already did. The data center, these buildings should have the following setbacks. Next slide. At least 500 feet from the outer perimeter property lines of the data center, regardless of the zoning classification of the adjacent property. These setbacks shall not apply to property lines in the interior. And number 2, at least 1,500 feet from sensitive use or the boundary of any residential, commercial, or agricultural district. So we are recommending 500 feet everywhere, and then residential, and in sensitive areas, 1,500 feet. There are a number of positive sections in the proposed text, and I want to make sure, let's go to the next slide. I want to make sure that I praise those features. Some of the previous speakers have mentioned them. There is a section on buffering that has language that I like, but there's language that says any data center that adjoins a residence, school, or place of worship. I would suggest to you, as you see in paragraph 12 in my letter to you, no data center should adjoin a residence, a school, or place of worship without the setbacks in between the data center and that land use. You have a noise section and a noise study. Those are all good, but I would urge that you have a more protective noise requirement. Go to the next slide. This again comes from the Kentucky Resources Council recommended language. All data centers shall meet the following minimum standards. Noise from operations, including primary and accessory structures and uses, energy systems shall not exceed 40 dBA or 60 dBc between 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. and shall not exceed 45 dBA or 65 dBc at any other times at any external perimeter property line. You'll see some footnotes at the bottom of page 5. That is if you're on the Planning Commission and looking at my notebook. And this provides more explanation for setting these, suggesting these noise limits as opposed to what we believe are somewhat too relaxed noise limits in your ordinance. Next slide. This is, I think Janice showed you this, so I'm borrowing this from her. Next slide. I do want to praise the feature in the proposed text that calls for not only the utility study that's been discussed previously, but also the environmental impact assessment. I do think the question was asked. It requires an environmental impact assessment, but what happens? I mean, what impact does the environmental assessment have? That is something that I think that you should think through and strengthen. What are the consequences if the environmental impact assessment reveals that there are problems that this facility is going to cause at this location? The specific ask that I made, that I point to in paragraph 17, is to make sure that your environmental impact assessment recognizes that prime farmland is an environmental impact. And if the proposal is taking prime farmland that is currently in production, out of production, that is an environmental negative. And so the question becomes, are there alternatives? And if there are alternatives of locating in an existing industrial tract as opposed to taking agricultural land in production out of production, then perhaps the environmental impact statement should tell the developer this is not a good site. And your environmental impact statement text should give you the ability to say the environmental impacts here flunk. Come back with a site that is more protective of our farmland and our other natural resources and environmental special assets. Next slide. The community impact analysis is, again, a very positive part of this proposal. So I like other speakers. I want to compliment that along with the environmental impact statement. But it is only a piece of the pie. The question is, what do you do with the community impact analysis without a community benefit agreement? That is, the community impact analysis should lead to the formation of a binding agreement between the developer and the community representatives, not just the county judge executive and not just the planning commission. In the communities that were identified that have put these in place, they have community representatives selected from the community who want to be involved in this process and may have a dog in the fight. They are also part of this agreement. And if this developer is a state-of-the-art developer, first-in-class developer, then we'll ask him to live up to that. That is, enter into an agreement with the community that all the promises that we heard, we were asked, wouldn't it be wonderful if this would happen? Well, we were told it was going to. I'm saying let's put it in writing and make it enforceable in a community benefit agreement. I mentioned, next slide, New Albany, that's Franklin County, has received national attention for extending the concept of community impact analysis to a more binding community benefit agreement. You should add this feature to this text. Next slide. Again, New Albany was mentioned last week, and I'm turning to it because there are good features in the New Albany proposal. But the feature I want to call to now is that New Albany and Dublin, two of the facilities that were referred to last week, as I indicated earlier, both have zoning districts where data centers must obtain a conditional use permit. I referred to the Andy Shaw memo that is in the Planning Commissioner's package and was given to them last week. The advantages of a conditional use permit, you all know this, is that it ensures there will be a public hearing, it results in conditions that are enforceable, and it continues into the future. It is the conditional use permit the best we can do? Is that a good finished product? The answer is no. The Urban Land Institute has published 2024 local guidelines on data centers, and I have emailed that document to the Planning Commission staff earlier today, so that the complete document is there for your reference. And I have enclosed one page of it. Next slide. Sorry. Unfortunately, the audience won't get to see this, but if you're in the notebook, if you can find the page that says regulating data centers, it's fourth from the last. This is a think tank document on how to regulate data centers, and they make 4 specific suggestions. Option 1, create an overlay district. Option 2, create a planned innovative research and technology district. Option 3, note preferred data center locations in the comprehensive plan and invite owner or hyperscaler initiated zoning applications. And 4, implement a specific data center zoning district defined by the ordinance. Now, my recommendation to you is that option 1, an overlay district, or option 4, a specific industrial district data center, be added to your text. That you have a text that is designed for data centers. And that is a piece that I believe is missing from the ordinance in front of you, and what I believe you need to add to make this address the issues that I believe it currently fails to address. So, looking at the slide in front of you on the screen, again, this is language coming from KRC, it's language that I agree with. Permitted uses. A data center shall only be permitted in the heavy industry zoning district, I-2, or the rural industrial zoning district, I-3, as a conditional use upon 1, application for a map amendment to reclassify the property on which the data center is located as industrial data center, that is a zone change, and issuance by the Planning Commission of a conditional use permit in conjunction with the zoning map amendment. I put in front of you KRS 100-203. This is a statute that identifies what is supposed to be in zoning ordinances, what's allowed to be in zoning ordinances, and I'm not sure that you've encountered this before, but section 203.5 allows planning commissions and fiscal courts to add to the text authority for the planning commission to decide conditional use permits when they propose development that needs a conditional use permit. And
Mr.
so
Graddy, you're at 23 minutes. Final thoughts, please.
Second, how much?
You're at 23 minutes. Final thoughts, please.
May I have one more minute?
It's up to the Planning Commission.
I've also sent to you the Prince George County Qualified Data Centers. This is a lengthy resource document, and you'll see the final 3 pages of that in my memo. These are studies of other counties. My recommendation is that you look at Frederick County, Maryland, as a county that is most like your situation, where they are trying to protect farmland and allow data centers to come in with public participation and with all the benefits possible of going to the county. I want to close with how I began. I quoted in my letter to you from your comprehensive plan: develop policies and programs to protect and retain land that is considered valuable or that has soils of climate or statewide importance. Selective options include ag districts and conservation easements. That is in your plan. I would urge you to adopt a zoning ordinance that implements that part of your current comprehensive plan and save Mason County's farmland. Thank you.